personal is better than corporate, and physical is better than abstract. That is the argument for local economy and the free market. And I make an argument for the free market because I want us to be more prosperous and more populous. We need to have 1 million people living here, and it'll be past my time, of course, when that happens. But by God's grace, we'll have many children being born, children such as Kevin Bennett, age 15, and maybe some fresh blood from points south of the state's border, from Spanish-speaking part of the world. David Till is here, sponsored by yournews.com, and also by Nuganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. I'm the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, the blogger with the biggest pen. And I actually believe I've offended people before. It's dawning on me that sometimes I say things that are not pleasing to all ears, but it's just you and me. I mean, I don't have to worry too much about flack, because after all, it is just you and me. But if you tell a listener about my program, I will have 200% of my audience that I have now. And I love numbers. I love big numbers. So you and me and one more person, that would increase me. Something to tell management about. I read with interest the obituary of Robert Summitt, the judge, and I want to just tell you a little bit about why big changes, why improvements in the status quo are going to be difficult. They're going to be difficult, especially when we're talking about reform of an abuse of the statute, the transportation statute. They're going to be difficult because there are people like Robert Summitt who hold the realms of power, and a lot of this power is private. Okay, it's personal. It inheres in the man, the great Robert Summitt, the judge. His obituary in the Sunday edition runs 2 columns, almost. It takes 2 columns, but equal to 1.5 columns in length. Probably a couple $1,000s to get that in the paper, because the paper charges by the word. He got involved in politics, and after 20 years in private practice, he was appointed to the bench of the 1st Division, 11th Judicial District of the state of Tennessee by Governor Buford Ellington in 1968. Okay, here's just quick. Okay, I don't want to belabor the points, but here, just listen to this man, this honorable circuit court judge's career, and you can see how his will, which at some point, because he's a senior judge, it becomes immovable. It's not open to new arguments. It's not open to liberty. It's not open to things that, for me, are fresh and living, right? For the judge, the arguments of liberty and constitutional government are largely dead. Again, he's not involving himself in criminal matters, but he is part of judicial conferences. And if we read the obituary, we make note of that. He served 30 years at circuit court. He was called judge. He retired in 1998. He served as the president of the Tennessee Judicial Conference, chairman of the National Conference of State Trial Judges. He was a member of the House of Delegates of the American Bar Association. He was on the faculty of the National Judicial College. Was appointed by the Tennessee Supreme Court to an 8-year term in the Court of the Judiciary. That's the court's court. If you are a bad judge, or a bad attorney, you'll be called up. He was on the board of the Salvation Army for 60 years, a very godly organization. He was the past state commander and on the National Executive Committee of the American Legion. A Rotarian, of course. And here now of interest is he was a 33rd degree Mason, a member of the York and Scottish Rites. And then it goes on, that's just mentioned in passing, on the Armed Forces Day Parade. So you have someone who's very pro-American, and all that we hold dear about America's wars or our wars, and all you might say the popular myths of our day were espoused by him, and he lived them out. He lived out the idea that all of our engagements are for liberty and justice, and our imperialism is to spread democracy and the right to vote to Arab countries and the like. But I mentioned these details just to suggest that the changes of the kind that I'm proposing that would enhance liberty and reduce oppression are going to be long in coming, because we have great honorable men like him on the bench. Just for example, I've argued that no prosecution should be made of any person unless the officer alleges intent. There has to be an allegation of intent, and the proofs by the DA have to be of intent. We're going to prove that this man intended to violate the statute. You realize that if that law were honored by the criminal court judges, Greenholz, for example, and pushed down into the machinery of the so-called justice system, you would cut prosecutions by 80%, maybe 90%. And that's called the mens rea statute, the criminal intent statute. I think it's in Title 39. That has to be respected. And it comes from the Bible, right? That is a godly argument, a biblical argument for reducing prosecution, reducing the load on the prison system, the jail system, and the courts. No prosecution apart from the allegation that this man intended to not show up for his hearing. This man intended to violate probation. This man intended to steal this. This man intended to hurt this person. Okay, there has to be the allegation of intent. And apart from that, there is no case. That should be argued and imposed by judges on the bench, but it's not. Okay, it's not. Why? Because these judges that we have in Hamilton County, or should I say, whom we have in Hamilton County, they are like Judge Summitt. We've not done it before, and we can't do it now. Because if we do it now, we imply that we were wrong to not have done it before. So we have this necessity of stagnation. Stagnation cannot be avoided, and in fact, we have to have it. We have to have stagnation in Chattanooga. Now, go to NoogaNomics.com and YourNews.com, our chief sponsors here on the David Tullis Show, and take a quick gander today at my essay. It's about the statute Title 55 and my making note of how it works. And the headline is "Escapees Kill 2 Drivers, but Apps Help Others on Road Turn Profit." And it's about the transportation industry. My grievance, and the grievance I think of people who are starting to understand this issue, is that we have an abuse of working common people. We have an abuse of minorities, the poor, the ignorant, and the alien and stranger in the land through the statute. And that because that statute lowers the threshold for probable cause, and cops are stopping people all the time for offenses that are not offenses, that are not crimes. They're simply offenses under transportation, if you're involved in transportation. If you're a private user of the road, as I am, you're not under Title 55, which is the transportation code, and in which you find the Tennessee driver's license statute. And so there's this problem is not recognized, and I'm bringing it to your attention, you, my listener, here at 92.7. The number is 800-8949. The number is 800-8949. And until you call, we're going to chat for a minute with Kevin Bennett. Kevin, you're 15 years old. Your father is involved in a ministry that has a public service component called A Better Tomorrow. You are homeschooled son of Richard and your mother, Jessica. I want to ask you about your dad's work. He deals with people young who are, as he sees them, prone to going into the gang life, into where there are some official gangs with names, and then there are others that are sort of informal groupings or clubs, you could say. And he is concerned about them and doesn't want them to have more people, but have fewer people. How is it that young people such as yourself, Kevin, are drawn into gang life? Explain how that happens.
Well, I guess one way they could be drawn in is probably from depression. Maybe I don't know exactly like what will be going on in their personal life, but depression could possibly be one of the reasons why they'd be drawn into that. Maybe one of their friends told them about it, and maybe one of their friends was a gang member, and then their friend pushed them to become a gang member or forced them to become a gang member, something like that. And obviously, like once you become a gang member, basically, it's just like you're kind of over at that point.
Well, you can't say, you make it sound really easy somehow that, well, someone's depressed and suddenly he finds himself a gang member. It's not that simple, is it? I mean, isn't it kind of a long process of friendship and connection and going out with this other young person who has a gang affiliation, seeing how he's successful, seeing that his life is exciting. I mean, how does that happen? Do you know young men who are members of gangs, Kevin?
I've seen some in the school at Washington Turner School, and I've seen some of them. I know some of them that are in gangs, but I don't know their names right now. But yeah, you do have a point right there where their friends could drive them to become a gang member. Like they have a really close connection with that person, and they trust that person with their life, like your best friend, basically. And the best friend, like this, like is either already in a gang or decides to become a gang member, and then the other person decides to go with that person because they trust them, and they see that they're having a really good time being a gang member, and they decide, well, I might as well do it too because it seems fun.
But what are some of the good times that gang members have? Describe for make Kevin Bennett, make the gang life attractive to my listener. What is it that would make my listener want to join such a club? What happened? What kind of experiences? What kind of allure is there?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I guess one reason why people maybe will want to be drawn in is because of the thrill. Maybe
thrill.
Yeah, because it's fun to them, or maybe because they just like. I don't know. I guess that's just the main reason. Is just the thrill of it and the fun of it, and
maybe fast cars.
Yeah,
pretty girls.
Yeah, and they just
alcohol.
Maybe because they just don't feel like following the rules, and maybe that's why they just want to become gang members.
There's something exciting about being defiant.
Yeah.
And what about firearms? Do you think that firearms, handguns, are attract young men? I mean, I've always been attracted to firearms.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. They could firearms could definitely attract young men, and I ain't gonna discriminate, young men, just young people in general, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they could attract young men, because like some young men might be into guns, and they say, oh hey, this gang members or this person is using a gun and they're in a gang. I want to use a gun, so let me become a gang member, and then they just do something like that.
So gang members have weapons to protect themselves against rival gang members whom they know are armed.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know, Kevin? You're 15, about the validation process. What kind of things are involved in police designating my listener? Let's say, my listener, you're a gang member because you did these certain things or have these certain signs of affiliation. Do you know anything about that?
Like, well, I guess I've heard of this. That basically, if someone's in a gang, and you like you're in your friend and you're not in a gang, and you wave at them, then and a police officer sees you wave at them, they think you're in a gang and you're not in a gang, and they just automatically think, oh hey, you waved at that person that's in a gang, so he's in a gang too.
So that's that might be worth a point or two on the 9-point or 10-point scale of facts that indicate that a person is connected with a gang.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever been afraid of your life, Kevin?
Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, feared personal injury or damage. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt that another person was going to hurt you?
Probably when I was younger, just having nightmares. I don't think I really did.
Yeah, but not in real life.
Yeah.
Well, this is David Toulis. We're glad you're giving us a couple of minutes of your time here on the David Toulis program. If you have a call or a question for Kevin or for me, or want to change the topic, feel free to dial the number or punch in the number. It's 800-894-9. That's 800-8949. You all saw the story about Jill McCormick, who's been 14 years in the House of Representatives. Andy Scher of the Chattanooga Times-Free Press is reporting this morning that he is backing out of the re-election bid for the district is 26, the Hickson area, and that gives just about a week's time for potential candidates for that seat to gather a mere 25 names to appear on the ballot. Andy says the move has major ramifications. It opens a 7-day window for Republicans who live in the district and have an interest in the seat to qualify for the August the 2nd Republican Party primary. So that's coming up, and he's going into the engineering field. He's a real estate man, and will be working with ASA, which is an engineering business, and he's going to be heading up the expansion of that company into Nashville, and giving up a career in politics. We don't know all the story, of course, but Andy has a good deal there worth discussing. This is David Toulis, and want to make sure that you know about the 36th annual Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon that is not far out at all. That's Saturday and Sunday. the 23rd and 24th. Downtown in Chattanooga, we'll be broadcasting live. Again, that's the Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon. And our Sam Jordan, our sports guy, will be broadcasting from a bicycle on Sunday. And we plan to be there when all of our pretentious radio regalia. David Toole is here. And we're glad you're giving us just a couple minutes of your time. I argue for local economy in the free market. And I think that one of the points I think worth considering as we're looking at the border crisis is the need for a local economy perspective on people. And my argument for people is that we need to have more of them, and we need to have more of them here. And that if you're a stranger in a land or in a country, you're a newcomer, don't speak the language, you maybe have another color, you come from a faraway place, you've never somehow acclimated, you are clearly a stranger, then there are special protections for you. And the question I ask you, my listener, especially if you're not a professing Christian, what might you ask a professing Christian about his scripture, right, his authority? And I've suggested that particularly the Old Testament is very, very clear about the duty that a people who are the incumbents, that is to say those who might say hold the office of citizen or have the place of citizen, there's a duty they have to look out for strangers and aliens. And this is David Toole. Let's call you live on the program. What's on your mind?
I'm just trying to get out of all this minutia. Really? You think we have a duty to help people that break the law? They're breaking the law. There's a legal way to come to this country. You just can't walk in. If you could do that, 1 billion Chinese would come in and overwhelm us. There are laws that you have to follow. They are valid laws from the United States of America, and they have to follow them. You know, why don't they just fix their country? If you want to come in, I'll make a deal with you. You get no benefits at all from the state. If individuals want to help you like they used to, the 18 and early 1900s, that's fine. But you don't come in here and suck off the state and have 10 babies and collect welfare and food stamps and everything else. Okay? But there you have to follow the law. It's not fair for people that stand in line and wait and go through the process, and other people just say, hey, walk over. Fix your own damn country. If you don't like the way your country is, it's probably because your politicians are corrupt. Take up a gun and take your country back. That's what we should be doing, is arming rebels. You know, if you're going to be a coward, stay in your own damn country.
Well, listen, Mike, Americans have supported incumbent regimes worldwide. We have supported legal and political establishments as against their reformers and as against their revolutionaries in their country. We're always on the side of the establishment.
Politicians and bureaucrats that have violated the concept and the rules of our constitutional republic have. And these people should be tried for treason. We haven't. The United States, the Constitution doesn't allow it. Just because individual rogue players decide to violate the Constitution and support dictators, that doesn't mean it's the United States. It's not. The United States is based on the Constitution that gives limited powers for a limited amount of time to individuals to apply the law, not violate.
Let me ask you, Mike, a question. Are the families on the southern border today who have their children removed from them and put in cages, are these families being oppressed, or are they being treated justly?
Lie. What happens is their process is like anybody else that gets arrested. You cross the border, you get arrested. You get separated from your kids until you get bonded out, and then you can join your
kids. Is that just or unjust?
That's absolutely just. That's what happens. You bring a kid over to a farm. Well, David, what do you think would happen if you decided to bring your kids over to Mexico without a passport, without a valid entry? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to throw you in jail.
Well, I'm so afraid of what happened in America that I'm willing to take that risk. It's just a risk that they know there's a problem.
Learn that if you come over here illegally and you come over with kids, you're going to get arrested and you're going to get separated from your children. And eventually, when you get out, you'll get rejoined and probably shipped back to Mexico. Fix your own country. Now, if you want to come over and assimilate to this country and burn your Mexican flag, that's fine. But what annoys me the most is people that come to this country, want to accept the fruits and labors and benefits of this country, and then they burn our flag and fly theirs. If your country's so great, let's ship you back.
Well, Mike, listen, I really appreciate your straightening me out on that. I'm chastened. Thank you so much. I'm chastened by Mike's comment, and You know, I guess I should just ignore all we heard in Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Genesis and Psalms, and also what the Lord Jesus says in Matthew 25 about the stranger and doing right unto him. Kevin, thank you for joining us. I've been talking with Kevin Bennett, whose dad runs a Better Tomorrow, a nonprofit organization seeking to reduce the allure of gangs here in Chattanooga. David Tourist, the radio 92.7 FM. I've got some wonderful sponsors. Do patronize each one of them.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A Ringgold man was arrested at a Chattanooga club after cops say he drunkenly fought with officers. Video purportedly shows William Floyd in an altercation with officers who were trying to escort him from the club. Police say Mr. Floyd lashed out and hit an officer in the head, breaking his glasses. Floyd and the officer then reportedly exchanged punches. An inmate at the county jail is being treated for what the sheriff's office is calling puncture wounds. Reports indicate the incident happened Saturday in a fight with another inmate. Spokesperson Alan Branham telling the press a criminal investigation is initiated. State House Representative Gerald McCormick announced he will resign October the 1st. He said in a statement he's accepted a position at ASA Engineering, which is looking to expand into the Davidson County area. McCormick represents District 26, which includes Chattanooga and Harrison. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
92.7 Nooga Radio.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now. The Chattanooga Football Club lost 3-2 to the New Orleans Jesters on Saturday.